Hey guys, this is Frozen Things Steve's here, and welcome back to another review. And welcome back to once again another TV show review on my channel, which I have haven't been doing a lot of these lately. But yes, I am here today to review Secret Invasion. So Secret Invasion is the eighth Disney Plus MCU series, unless if you count the two specials, Werewolf by Night and Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, then that would make it 10. This was the 10th, and is directed by Ali Selim, and it stars Samuel L. Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn, Emilia Clarke, Kingsley Ben-Adir, Olivia Colman, Don Cheadle, Kobe Smudlers, Dermot Mulroney, Martin Freeman, etc. And so basically, Secret Invasion tells a story taking place years after the events of Captain Marvel, and a direct prequel to the Marvels, where this is basically kind of like a Captain Marvel story, since it does take place in between both Captain Marvel movies. Nick Fury and Talos Nick Fury and Talos find out that the Skrulls are infiltrating the universe, and they're like Skrull invaders, and these Skrulls would take the form, shapeshift into humans. So they must Fury and Talos must work together to be able to stop the Skrulls from invading. But it turns out that these Skrulls are actually they shapeshift into humans, like they can copy take the form of any human being. So they must stop them. So no, they must pretty much find out who is a scroll, and who is not, and it can lead to pretty much trust issues. Yeah. So yeah, Secret Innovation. I think you all remember how you probably might know about how hype I was for the show. This was my second most anticipated show of the year, second only behind The Last of Us. And usually when it comes, uh, um, TV shows I am hyped for, they would normally live up to the hype. As The Last of Us, it lived up to the hype as it became easily the best show of the year, and I doubt any show for the rest of the year will top that. And so Secret Invasion, I was hoping that this show would deliver. So now when it comes to these MCU post Endgame projects, yes, I think I've been talking a lot about the MCU, about how people have been giving the current MCU just all the backlash, and pretty much they would say it's a fact anymore, and they would just become straight up toxic, as they just hate anything that any MCU project that's pretty much easy control. Like they only like the No Way Home and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 just because they weren't controlled by Disney. But anything, when they know that Disney is when they know that Disney is taking like control, like interfering with it, then they don't automatically just like give it all the hate in the world. And a lot of these Disney Plus MCU shows are receiving so much hate. Yeah, people are like literally like saying that Marvel should stop making MCU Disney Plus shows. I mean, yeah, I'll admit though, yes, they're starting to become a little too much project, but I don't care. I'm still like hyped for them. Like I am really excited for Loki season 2. I am hyped for Echo. I am most certainly hyped for Daredevil Born Again, as that's my most anticipated show for the rest of the year. But for reasons as you wouldn't expect, like maybe not for the right reasons. Some would say it's not like, yeah, basically the like I love Daredevil and Punisher and as a character in all those Netflix shows, but it's mainly because of January Tega's involvement in the show. Yeah, I can I think White Tiger will be one of the best MCU characters. Period. And yeah, and Secret Invasion was certainly one of my most anticipated. I will admit that even though I am a defender of the MCU, I'll admit that I'm also like sometimes I do want Marvel to improve, so just so they can improve the fans. Of course, while I judge it on my own, like I can see that Marvel hasn't been impressing the fans lately, but that doesn't really mean that I that they affect my personal enjoyment you know um as I will admit that I want Marvel to pretty much do something that can impress the fans, that can make the fans pretty much fall in love with Marvel again. Yeah, most of the MCU Disney Plus projects haven't been well received. The only ones that were actually well received are WandaVision, Loki, and to an extent Hawkeye and Moon Knight. The rest of them range from divisive to hated. And I mean, yeah, 2021 was an excellent year for the MCU Disney Plus shows. WandaVision, WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and especially Hawkeye, all masterpieces. Love WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier. And, and I am a defender of the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Defender of Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's actually my second favorite. Hawkeye though is y'all know it's my favorite MCU Disney Plus shows. It's not only my Hawkeye is not only my favorite Disney Plus MCU show. It's my favorite Disney Plus show in general, and nowadays my second favorite show of all time, second only behind Stranger Things. Yeah, one day I'll do my best TV shows of all time list, but not now. Not now's not the right time. I was so yeah. And last year though was honestly was a disappointing year for MCU Disney Plus shows. Moon Knight was the last Disney Plus show that I fell in love with, and we got two really good Marvel Studios presentation with Werewolf by Night and Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, which I absolutely love both of them. But then you got Miss Marvel and She-Hulk. Now, I will admit that I was too harsh on Miss Marvel in my first when I saw the show for the first time. I just kind of expected a little bit more from it, and I was excited for the show. But I think my expectations went up too high. I gave Miss Marvel a second chance. I rewatched the show, and I now think it's a great show. Not but it's not but I do think it's not up to par with the my love for some of the other MCU Disney Plus shows. And it still has its problems, but I still really dug it. It's a 9 out of 10 show. 9 out of 10. I mean, 8 out of 10. Speaking of 9 out of 10 shows, yeah, I forgot to mention Loki, another show from 2021. Although it is the weakest of the MCU shows released in 2021, it's still a very strong show. It's still a very strong show in my opinion. Anyways, yeah, but yeah, then you look back at the previous MCU show, She-Hulk. Oh my God, She-Hulk. That yeah, She-Hulk just broke me on every single level. Yeah, I think I was honestly too kind to the show in my initial rant. I gave it a 2 out of 10, but I think it deserves a straight 1 out of 10, as that is by far the worst thing that the MCU has ever done. Yeah, yeah, that it really broke my heart because I've been defending the MCU, and yet they repay me with making that abomination that is She-Hulk. It is the worst thing that to come out of the MCU, and there was no way the MCU could make it worse than this. And even if She-Hulk was terrible, I still rooted for the MCU to make a comeback. And then I saw the trailer for this show, and I was like, OMG, this could actually be one of the greatest MCU shows. Period. Yeah, I will admit that I understand that one of people's problems with the MCU is the overuse of comedy. Like they treat the MCU like it's just pure comedy now, and they want the MCU to go back to something serious and grounded, back in the days of the MCU where it was serious, yeah, took itself seriously. And here comes Secret Invasion, a show that looks like it's actually taking itself seriously, like it's actually. And from what I knew based on the trailers and marketing, it was going to be a political thriller. A political thriller. That's actually going to be a serious, dark, and grounded show. That's pretty much like Captain America: The Winter Soldier. America the Winter Soldier. That type of show. And so yeah, I was hyped for it. Although the marketing hasn't been great because this show honestly had such a lack of marketing, but I had high hopes for this show, and I was hoping that this would at least be the Andor of the MCU, where this is like a hidden gem, and this would be the show that would unite fans, and this would make fans love the MCU again. And yeah, but unfortunately though, this show was hated. Like this show got pretty much the same backlash as your typical MCU. For some reason, like I was really upset that to hear all the positive, to hear all. I mean, the negative reception because people slammed the MCU for comedy. So I was thinking that maybe a serious and grounded MCU show could make people hate on this show. That could make people love the show, but even got more hate than She-Hulk. Got more hate than She-Hulk. It even has a Rotten Score, Rotten Tomatoes. Like right now, as I'm recording this, it's currently at a 56% Rotten Tomatoes, and that makes me sad. So knowing that people just refuse to give the MCU a chance, and they'll just say, "Oh, the MCU's dead." And sometimes I'm just convinced that people are just review bombing the show without even watching it just because it's another MCU Disney Plus TV show. Now, yes, they did say that Black Widow was going to be like a grounded, dark, and serious MCU project that's like Captain America: The Winter Soldier that pretty much got people hyped, but then the show became got mixed reviews. But I personally love Black Widow. I'm surprised I haven't reviewed Black Widow yet, but I definitely should review Black Widow at some point. But if you want to know my thoughts on Black Widow, I think it's underrated. I think it's one of the more underrated MCU films. Sure, it's not perfect, but I love Black Widow. So yeah, so yeah, so um, yeah. But after seeing the show for myself, I gotta let you all know that this show is great. Now, I kind of was expecting this to be like one of my absolute favorite MCU Disney Plus shows and one of my favorite shows in general. Yeah, I didn't really expect this to top The Last of Us as the best show of the year, but I was expecting this to be like the best Disney Plus show of the year and probably like a close second. And this could have been my top 10 favorite shows of all time list. It didn't really reach that height, however. I will say that, yeah, it is a great show. In fact, it is an underrated show, and this is probably the most underrated of the MCU Disney Plus shows. It just didn't really exceed my expectations like what I was expecting it to. It was just really good. And yeah, this is basically the Black Widow and Eternals of MCU Disney Plus shows to me, where I would have expected to love it more, but I didn't. Well, maybe more of Eternals, because Black Widow, I kind of knew it was gonna be like a 9 out of 10 movie because like the marketing didn't really market it to be like a groundbreaking like masterpiece in the MCU, where Eternals was marketed to be like that. So I would say this is more of pretty much both the Eternals and Black Widow of the MCU Disney Plus shows. But yeah, there was like so much of praise about this movie, and I do not get the hate for the show at all. Like I don't, like I'm honestly convinced. Like I said this earlier, but I'm convinced that people just watch the show without even and people just review bomb the show without even watching it. And yeah, without watching it. So yeah, yeah. But I will. Yeah. But yeah. But like, where do I start with all my praise? Yeah. I'll probably let you all know now where I rank this show when it comes to my TV shows ranking list. Like, where do I rank this specifically? Well, it's not the best Disney Plus show of the year. Certainly not the best show of the year. The Last of Us still takes reign supreme, and there are even some hidden gem shows where I didn't expect much from, but ended up being better than the show. Like one example being Hijack, a show that my parents forced me to watch, and I didn't really have any. I had zero expectations of that show, but I might actually review that show. I might actually review that show when it if ever I do. If ever I do, get to review it. And when it comes to Disney Plus show, I would say my personal favorite Disney Plus show of the year would have to be American Born Chinese. American Born Chinese, American Born Chinese is actually another show that I would personally consider it a hidden gem, and I definitely recommend you all watch it. I didn't review it because I didn't really have any deep thoughts about it, but it is a great show. Go check it out. I even prefer The Mandalorian season 3. I even prefer The Mandalorian season 3 over this. Yeah, I think Mandalorian season 3 is probably the most underrated show of the year, the true most underrated show. But I would say this is the second most underrated show of the year to me. But I think the hate that Mandalorian season 3 gets is just pretty annoying. Although I will say though about Mandalorian season 3, I think that I overpraised that show by calling it the best season Mandalorian. I think it's now the weakest show. Season two and season two is the best show. Season one's second, but season two is the weakest one. But I will say is Mandalorian season three. I enjoyed it that one more than this show. I think it's a little more flawless. Yes, this show is Secret Invasion is not perfect in my opinion. I'll get into flaws later. Last year, but I think Mando season three is like a low 10 out of 10. Well, this one is pretty much a 10 out of 10. And yeah, and I honestly predicted that this was going to be no competition, the best Disney Plus show of the year. But pretty much the two other Disney Plus shows that coming like might actually be better than this. Have a chance, yeah. Loki season two might be slightly better than this. As even though I will admit though, unpopular opinion, I prefer the show over Loki season one. But Loki season two, I actually kind of wanna rate Loki. Sorry, hey guys, sorry for background noise. I'm actually in the mall. I filmed the first half of my video at home, but then I decided to film this half of my review. Record this half in the mall where I am right now. Like, so yeah, excuse the background noise, but yeah. But yeah, back to what I was saying. Yeah, I think Echo. I have a feeling Echo could be my favorite. Echo. Sorry about the noise. I'm kind of, but yeah, I have a feeling Echo could be my favorite Disney Plus show of the year. Because that show is because it's actually based on Hawkeye. So I have a feeling Echo could be another hidden gem. Like, hopefully Echo will be better than this, and maybe Kate Bishop could appear in Echo. Who knows? So. Yeah, that's currently my most anticipated MCU show. And I think Ashoka is going to be the best. Ashoka by chance is going to be the best Disney Plus show of the year because the trailers, the marketing is insane and it's being marketed to be my favorite Star Wars show. And I hope it is. But anyways, yeah, let's get on to the reasons as to why Secret Invasion is really good. For starters, this show does live up to its promises. It's dark, it's gritty, it's actually serious for once, and there is no comedy here. Now, don't get me wrong, I honestly do not have a problem with MCU comedy. I don't have a problem with MCU humor. I think it is funny. I mean, the Thor Love and Thunder, while the jokes are the weak link, it does. Thor Love and Thunder did have its funny moments, but Love and Thunder did have its funny moments. Even if that show was even if that movie was decent but not like anything great. Like in fact, far from it. And yeah. What more can I say? But yeah. And yes, I love that this show really does feel very gritty. This does have the Captain America Winter Soldier feel to it. And for once, Nick Fury finally gets to be the lead. Nick Fury finally gets to be the lead. The main character. Like after pretty much years of being the MCU and pretty much being established as one of the OG MCU characters, we haven't really seen him like take the spotlight as a main character. Yeah, maybe because he's not a superhero, but yeah, this show is pretty much this show is pretty much just not really a superhero show. It is it's not really like a superhero show. It's more of a political spy thriller that's actually very complex. And this is also kind of like the Andor of the MCU in some ways. No, not as masterful as Andor is. Like Andor was like peak Star Wars, but yeah, this show just is able to be more mature, one of more mature movies, and I love that this show has slow pace to it. Like it does take its time to be able to develop its characters and storylines. Like develops characters. Like it doesn't really go too big and has too much action. I will admit though, I do wish that the show was a little bit bigger in scale than I expected, but that's kind of like one of my nitpicks. But I do have actual flaws, but I'll get to it later. But yeah, this show does have. But yeah, but when this show has action, it does have stakes to it. It does have real stakes to it. Like like it is like real stakes to it. Like you really like have. There's like so much surprise. Yeah, this show is completely unpredictable because you don't know who's who. Considering that the characters are scrolls, they really do give you the crease by pretty much just going like beyond behind like just crawling behind you, and you don't know like if this person's a scroll, but then like the scroll might be disguised as someone you love, someone you love, but it turns out like he actually betrays you, and then you might think that the real person like who is not real scroll will get accused of it. Yeah, there is like so many like insane twists. Yeah, I'm I'm gonna get into spoiler territory here. I'm gonna like say some spoilers about it, but yeah, if you don't want spoilers, then I suggest just um, if you don't want spoilers, then I suggest you watch the show first before watch continuing on with my review. But yeah, 3, 2, 1, go. Like one of the big shocks about this show is that in the first episode, Maria Hill dies. Yep. You may have thought that this is actually Maria Hill is actually one of the absolute main characters, but yeah, I did not expect that they'd kill her off in like the first episode. Now I know a lot of people are upset about that. A lot of people are just straight up upset that they killed off Maria Hill in the very first episode. But I don't really mind. I think it makes sense for her to be killed because it raises the bar really high, and it actually what motivates Nick Fury to do what he does, like to catch the scrolls. In fact, literally the scroll who shot Maria Hill is actually Nick Fury in disguise. Nick Fury in disguise. So yeah, Nick Fury as a scroll. So yeah, maybe one thing I personally would have added in this show is basically when Maria Hill is when pretty much Nick Fury, like a scroll disguise Nick Fury killed shot Maria. Maybe there will be a part where Nick Fury Nick Fury was accused of killing Maria, like shooting Maria, like so Nick Fury would have been like in deep jeopardy, and yeah, that's pretty much the whole purpose of the scrolls, to be able to pretty much disguise as someone who you love. Yeah. And there's like also so many like twists where like some of the characters we knew from the previous, like some of the OGs like from the Infinity Saga were actually scrolls this whole time. Like for example, this show establishes that Rhodey from Endgame is actually a scroll. Yeah, because the whole time when we see Rhodey, his entire screen presence was pretty much him like a scroll. This guy's the Rhodey, and Rhodey's pretty much established himself to be a villain. And then when we see like what happened to everyone else, like what the Skrulls have been doing to like him and some other characters we knew, like Everett Ross, who was also a Skrull in this show, but actually this whole time, and it was revealed at the end. Really at the end, really just cool twist, but that means is Everett from Black Panther Wakanda Forever actually a Skrull, like in Black Panther 2? Is that what happened? Like, yeah, this show pretty much takes MCU in. This show pretty much takes MCU to a new direction. Like reveal like, oh, this guy was a Skrull this whole time. Oh, this character presence was a Skrull this whole time, but not in a way that retcons it. And one proof that that Endgame Rhodey might be a Skrull is when in the end, when we see like Rhodey getting free, you see that he's still badly hurt and he's wearing the hospital suit when he was in the ER in Captain America: the Captain America Civil War. That's proof right there that maybe Rhodey was a Skrull like in Endgame. And that's why we're gonna and I think this show makes me a bit more hyped for Armor Wars now, because knowing that Endgame Rhodey was actually a Skrull and the real Rhodey doesn't even know that Tony Stark is dead. Yeah, we're gonna get some real motivation here.
Like we're gonna get some real character arc in Armor Wars, and now I'm very curious to see what is gonna happen. Although I kind of don't, I'm a little bit worried that the show might look cheap because it was originally supposed to be a Disney Plus show, but it's turned into an MCU movie. So I'm a little bit worried that they might get it wrong. But I mean, if Blue Beetle was supposed to be an HBO Max show turned into a movie, and it actually does look good in my opinion, maybe the same could happen with Armor Wars. So although it is my least anticipated MCU movie, because I can't really think of any other MCU movie that I would consider my least anticipated, and I'm more excited for other MCU projects. And I'm excited for other MCU movies than that. Like even the Blade, Fantastic Four, the Marvels, etc. So yeah, um, and yeah, and also the action scenes in this movie are insane. Like they actually do feel like the action scenes feel so different from other MCU projects. It's really insane. It's really insane to see like how different the action scene is, because they feel like a legit spy action scenes that you'd expect from the legit spy genre. And some of my absolute favorite scenes in this movie are pretty much just very intense action scenes. Like for example, the president rescue scene, that fight where pretty much Talos dies in episode 4. Yeah, that action scene was one of the best. And then you get the action scene with Gaia and Nick Fury's wife. I honestly keep forgetting her name. I forgot who Nick Fury's wife's name is, because they never really established the character earlier on. But yeah, that house scene, wow, I mean, badass action. But perhaps my personal favorite, the house fight is my favorite action scene. The house fight is my favorite action scene, and also the one with Gravik where he literally uses his arm like. Oh yeah, also and speaking of Gravik, my God, he is an amazing MCU villain. People say he's just there just to be there, and it's a very unused villain. But I personally disagree with that, because I think Gravik is such a manipulative villain, and he actually does feel like a threat. And they really do a good job of making Gravik just so hateable. Like you really just wanna hate this guy, and that's exactly how you establish an MCU villain. A villain in general, you make the villain hateable, and as for the other characters, Nick Fury is great. Nick Fury is great as always. Also Talos is actually better than Nick Fury in my opinion in this show. Maria Hill, even if she died in the first episode, rest in peace, she was great in the amount of screen that she had, and yeah. But my favorite character in the film, the standout of the film, would have to be Emilia Clarke's Gaia. In fact, Emilia Clarke was one of the reasons as to why I was hyped for Secret Invasion, and I gotta say, this is Emilia Clarke's best role yet, in my opinion. Sorry, Daenerys from Game of Thrones. Emilia Clarke, Emilia Clarke is such welcome in the MCU. And Emilia Clarke is really welcome to be in the MCU, and I want to see more from her. And of course, let's get to now I'm gonna get to the flaws now, because there are some flaws with it. Yeah, it's not perfect. Yeah, and that's probably pretty much the flaws are pretty much what keeps me from putting this among one of my favorite MCU shows. There were 2 episodes that I felt it was underwhelming to me. Episodes 3 and 6, yeah. Now, there were no downright bad episodes. In fact, I feel like people take episode 6 way to the extreme. Some people even would go as far as calling it one of the worst shows in TV history. But I personally think that. I personally think episode 6 was not as a bit overhated, but still could have been better. Episode 3 was forgettable. I liked it at first watch, but it was forgettable. Episode 6 though was kind of a letdown. Episode 6 was a letdown, honestly. Now, one of the weaker finales in MCU, and I defend the finales in these MCU Disney Plus shows. I defend the WandaVision finale. I defend the Falcon and Winter Soldier finale. I defend the Moon Knight, the Hawkeye and Moon Knight finales to an extent, but they're not very hated. But this finale, I think it's over the Loki and She-Hulk finales. But boy, the problem with the finale is that it's just rushed and it's just completely rushed and it is far too short and very anticlimactic. Now I will say this. I personally love the idea of making Gaia the strongest MCU character. And yes, Gaia is the most powerful MCU character, and she literally turns into like shapeshifts into like all the MCU, like pretty much every single MCU hero, like select ones, like around 15 plus MCU heroes, and pretty much just still acquires their powers. That is so cool. I want to see more of Gaia being a superhuman like that. But it's just that the Gaia versus Gravik fight was far too short, only lasted for 2 minutes, and it felt anticlimactic. And yeah, this show was pretty anticlimactic, honestly. Yeah, anticlimactic. Yeah. Episode 3 is still the worst one. Since it is pretty forgettable. It was a forgettable episode. Now they're not bad episodes. They're just underwhelming. Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, episodes 1, 2, 4, and 5 are amazing. I love those episodes. Particularly episode 4 being my personal episode 5 being my personal favorite episode of the show. So yeah, if I were to rank the episodes of Secret Invasion, it would have to be episodes. Number 1 is episode 5. Number 2 is episode 4. Number 3 is episode 2. Number 4 is episode 1. Number 5 is episode 6, and episode 3 is the last. Oh, and by the way, speaking of episode 2, I forgot to mention, this is honestly one of the most violent MCU shows yet. It can get brutal. Like in episode 2, there's a scene where a guy's finger literally gets chopped off. No joke. It gets cut off. Yeah, that was insane. Yeah, can you believe that actually happened? Yeah, it was probably the most brutal thing that ever happened in the MCU. So yeah, this is one of the more adult-oriented MCU shows. So yeah, and yeah, oh by the way, I almost forgot to mention Olivia Colman's character. Yeah, honestly, based on marketing, I honestly thought that Olivia Colman was going to be one of the. I thought Olivia Colman was going to be one of the villain, like the main villain of the show, but yep, it was Gravik. But Olivia Colman is definitely one of my absolute favorite characters, and this show this shows how much Olivia Colman, how great of an actress Olivia Colman is. So overall, Secret Invasion may not be a perfect show and not one of my favorite MCU shows like I predicted, but it is probably the most underrated MCU show to me. Like, this show does not deserve the same level of hate that She-Hulk has. This show actually does live up to what it's promoted for. It's dark, mature, serious, gritty, and it's basically the Black Widow of MCU Disney Plus shows. So yeah, with that said, I'm gonna give Secret Invasion a 9 out of 10. Hopefully some people will agree with me that this show is underrated and far better than people make it out to be. So also for my review of Secret Invasion, what is your opinion on this show? Are you with me that Secret Invasion is an underrated gem? Or do you agree with the haters that this show is pretty bad or mid? Comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for more videos to come. Bye guys.